Hello, and welcome to the Precepts and Pandemonium Planescape campaign. I am Don Gooch, the Dungeon Master. This is the first session journal. In these journals, I will recap the happenings in the previous session. This first journal will be a bit of a narrative, since it is our introduction to the characters and the beginnings of their first quest together. Our campaign kicked off with a flashback to the Dawn War at the beginning of time, when Lord Ao, the Overgod, created the worlds and the crystal spheres from the Phlogiston. The Dawn War pitted the Primordials, powerful beings of chaos, who were marshaled by the mad god Atharzadum in a bid for universal domination. The war waged for eons. One of the major players was Nehushta, the Artificer, a massive bulk being of varying metallic alloys who self-modified with various mechanical gears and siege weapons. It is Nehushta whom the Genocide believed to have been their creator. It was in a cataclysmic clash with Ouroboros, the World Serpent, possibly during the Shadow Epoch, when the primordial known as Dindar the Night Serpent had devoured the sun, that Sirius was mortally wounded. While he lay there dying, as battle raged around him on a cosmic scale, the world slowly went dark, and he woke up in the green, grassy field outside the North Gate to Waterdeep. From there, we encountered the Plain of Limbo and the floating cities of the Githzerai. A young Zerf known as Dakar, a skilled hunter of the cutting blade Rokma, was eager to hunt down their latest prey. The illithid called Varask, known as the Mind Demon among the Rokma, had become known to his group, and they intended to claim Varask's bulbous head as their greatest prize yet. Laying a trap for Varask, the cutting blade Githzerai sprung upon him, apparently catching him unawares. Dakar scored a mighty blow against Varask, detentaculating him, all but 3 of its mind-absorbing tentacles, and slashing an angled gash across its chest. But at the precipice of an apparent victory, Dakar and his Rokma came under assault by a massive psionic blast that overcame their formidable psionic defenses. Knocked to the ground and barely conscious, Dakar watched as his group was stalked by 3 new illithid, who emerged from the shadows. Apparently, the hunters had become the hunted. Dakar had little time to contemplate the irony of his fate before the world faded to black. He awoke in a green, grassy field outside the North Gate to Waterdeep. He saw a blue, aquatic-looking fellow whisking down the road towards the North Gate. The two eyed each other suspiciously, and after a brief conversation, continued on into the town in the same direction, but separately. Next, we met a mercenary stranded on Toru after having been shoved through a portal on a mission in Sigil. He was running low on funds and looking for work. Cass, the gunslinger, rode his horse down the streets of Waterdeep, his mastiff at his side, hoping to come across a job that could help him build up some jink and get off this rock and back to the City of Doors. He happened across a notice, seemingly posted all over the city, seeking adventurers to go on a dire quest and instructing them to inquire at the Elfstone Tavern. Cass, figuring a dire adventuring quest was just the sort of job to pay well, sauntered off to the castle district. About the same time, a young tabaxi named Rither, fresh out into the world, having been set on a path to adventure by her magical mentor, was walking the streets of Waterdeep near the castle district. She wandered here and there, not really sure what she should do, when she stumbled across the posted sign, inviting adventurers to the castle district for a dire quest. Thinking that this opportunity was as good as any, she headed off to the Elfstone Tavern, and so it was that she was first to come to the Elfstone Tavern and seek adventure. The tavern was a 3-story building. The main taproom was itself on the first floor. It had torches flickering on its walls, dancing light spells alighted on several tables, and ancient oak trees growing in each corner of the room. River noted a game of shell, as it was called, being played back near one of those oak trees. There she played a few games with a rough-looking sort by the name of Buckley Carbuncle. Having gotten her full fill of gabbling, she made her apologies and headed over to the bartender, who directed her up to the third door on the left. There she met a middle-aged, gray-bearded wizard in a blue and gray cloak, with an owl familiar named Sebastian, perched on a stand nearby. He introduced himself as Wavelore Stormsurge, a mage of some renown. Wavelore informed River that he had a job for an adventurer, but in sizing her up, he openly wondered if she was old enough to handle it. Wavelore cast a spell upon her to learn more about River, suspecting perhaps that she was more than she seemed, but in so doing learned that River was just as she appeared, a young, experienced magical user. But that spell was fortuitous for River, as she discovered a magical gift that her mentor had left in her bags. Meanwhile, the last two of this band of unlikely companions were making conversation near the City of the Dead, just north of the Trade Ward. Ellery, an overly tall elf in strange leather clothing, was chatting with Zara, a dark-haired vixen in black leather pants with a fiery, intense look to her. She appeared to be human, although closer inspection would reveal the hints of lupine features in her cheeks, nose, and ears. Further, the way she walked with a lithe, springy step bespoke her shifted nature. The two were discussing what they should do, both of them having taken smuggling jobs in recent months, and yet they were between jobs, when they were accosted by a sergeant of the city watch, with a regiment of guards behind him, apparently on the hunt for smugglers in the city. The sergeant asked the duo some tough questions and had them patted down, but since they had no contraband on them at the time, they were set free. They had the feeling that the sergeant suspected that they may not have contraband on them, but had searched them as a signal, perhaps a warning. It was definitely looking like it was a bit too hot in Waterdeep for the duo. Whether they had been marked as smugglers or not, it might be a good time to find a job outside of the city walls. Happening upon the notice that the other adventurers had found, they headed off in the direction of the Elfstone Tavern. And thus the paths of the party members converged at the Elfstone Tavern, with only Dakar passing up on the invitation to adventure, well, at least at first. He continued on to Blackstaff Tower, looking for a direct path back to his home in Limbo, but being informed by the city guard that access to Blackstaff Tower was by invitation only, and also being reliably informed that he would need a wizard to get to Limbo, Dakar decided to check in at the Elfstone Tavern, as it seemed a good place to look for a wizard. In a succession of short introductions, precipitated by distinct inquiries to the bartender as to the source of the quest invitation, each member of the party was welcomed into Wavelore's apartment. There, Wavelore informed them of their quest, a mission that did not seem quite so dire from his description. The party was simply to acquire, or make a copy of, a map that was currently in the possession of the Duke of Daggerford, Maldwyn Daggerford. It seemed that there was some animosity between Waverlore and the Duke, and thus Waverlore had been unable to access the map himself. After some back and forth, Waverlore revealed that what he truly sought on the map was the location of a town called Bundlewood, a town that some time before the Black Horde descended on the Western Heartlands had disappeared from known records. Waverlore is certain of the town's existence, and just as certain that in the intervening years, the town perhaps has been renamed, or for other reasons no longer is recorded on current or contemporary maps. Why this is, he did not reveal. Waverlore was reluctant to discuss his purpose in locating Bundlewood, but he did admit to the party that they may face some opposition in the form of his own father, Tidonal Stormsurge, a pirate who may also be seeking out the location of Bundlewood. The party debated whether to take the job, but ultimately agreed at the price of 100 gold up front and 350 gold apiece upon a successful completion of the quest. The party then decided to enjoy the frivolity of an evening in the taproom of the Elfstone Tavern and descended back down to the first floor. The party, eating and drinking on Waverlore's dime, enjoyed the festivities as an excellent bard played the lute, while a juggler entertained the throng of elves, humans, and assorted Waterdavian Dinsians who had frequented the Elfstone Tavern that evening. It was a happy outing, filled with excellent foods and copious draughts of the Elfstone special draught ale. Of note to the party was a knight defender. He sat alone, quietly getting drunk while tapping along to the music. As he drank, he became a bit more belligerent, ranting about the exploits of the Thornhold defenders and how they had held against the Black Horde. At one point, the knight and the party seemed to get cross ways, but Ellery took to the stage and played a few unfamiliar tunes, but ones that seemed to mollify the knight, who returned to his drinking. Soon thereafter, a well-dressed dwarf in a strange hat walked in. Ellery and Zara instantly recognized him as Foghail Brickcoat, who is their contact in the Black Lily Gang. Away from the rest of the party at the bar, Foghail informed Ellery and Zara that he was aware of their encounter with the city guard, and that it would be best if they made themselves scarce for a while. He informed them, though, that there were rumors of strange acquired items that were being smuggled and marketed by the Shadow Knaves, parts of a strange ship and weapons, including a scimitar of some note. While Foghail suggested Zara would have some interest in this information, he recommended that this information not change their plans, that they should get out of Waterdeep presently. Ellery gave Foghail a draught of ale. Foghail downed it and left. As the evening wore on, the party was visited by an elegant, regal older woman, decked out in jewels and rings, wearing a long green cloak and bearing a staff with the likeness of a crow carved into the top. She checked in with the bartender and approached the party. Ellery hit on her, but she offered to double the pay of the party if they would tell her what exactly Waverlore was looking for and what they found. Ellery explained that they were unwilling to break a contract once it was made, and the woman left in a huff, but promised to inquire again in case they changed their mind. The water genocide, Suriso, attempted to make music through his nose. The patrons of the tavern did not find that particularly entertaining. A hot moment and a tense battle of wits ensued. The night rose, and for a moment it looked like the whole bar was going to come to blows. But the moment was diffused by some clever words and clever music by Ellery, and Ellery suggested that perhaps it was time for the night to call it a night. Dakar asked the knight who he was, whereupon the knight revealed that his name was Brace Gondar, of the Waterdavian Knight Defenders. While it was clear that Brace was proud of his knightly tradition, he admitted to the party that he had deserted his post at Thornhold. He he told of strange happenings at Thornhold. A fortress staffed with veterans of the war with the Black Horde, captained by the famous hero William Brightblade. Such a place was known throughout the lands as one of discipline and order. It was a tightly run fortress, but in recent months, according to Brace, there had been frequent breakdowns in discipline, odd happenings that no one could explain, increasingly arbitrary orders from their leaders. Finally, Brace had had enough. He fled Thornhold in a ship headed to Waterdeep. He fully expects to be arrested and hung for his actions. And Zara thought that might be a good idea. But Brace was adamant that he would never return to Thornhold again. At that, the party decided to call it a night. They all got rooms at the Elfstone Tavern, except for Siriso, who slept in a water trough outside. That evening, each member of the party was visited by dreams of the events that led up to their arrival on Faerun in Waterdeep, and each had a vision of a strange bald man with a Van Dyke beard. Siriso was visited by a water primordial who told Siriso that he had something planned for him. In the morning, Siriso awoke to discover that a ring was around his finger. In the morning, the party sought out provisions, purchasing some healing potions from Dillantur Tink at Dillantir's apothecary. The party remained intent to set out of Waterdeep that day and proceed to Daggerford on their mission. And that was the end of the session. Tune in next time for the further adventures of our party in the Precepts and Pandemonium Planescape game. I've been your Dungeon Master, Don Gooch.